I think everyone here is familiar with this bill. It's been obviously talked about a little bit. So I'm going to try to be relatively brief, but how did we get here to where we are today? A game called Instant Racing was developed, I believe, in Arkansas 20 years ago, was put into practice, started to grow to a few states. There was interest by one individual who owned a track in Simpson County who was interested in putting them in. The Racing Commission developed regulations. There was an Attorney General's opinion. They went to court in an agreed case looking for direction from the court. The Family Foundation intervened. Those games started in 2011. In 2014 came the first Supreme Court decision in Kentucky, which affirmed the validity of historical horse racing regs, but also remanded for discovery about whether the games were actually parimutuel under the 1931 Jockey Club Supreme Court ruling. Later that year, and I was here then, during session, we passed House Bill 445 that, among other things, included the tax rates for this, that some of which we just worked on. So this body, the legislature, instituted these tax rates, make sure that we were getting the revenue that we needed, and gave, one might say, some level of understanding and approving of this. And then we all know that, fast forward a few years, more and more of our horse racing licensees added these machines. And then in September of last year, there was a Supreme Court ruling that indicated that the games were not acting in it under the definition of parimutuel as the 1931 case laid out. Surprisingly enough, when I started looking into this after that ruling, and it says so in the ruling, there is no statutory definition of parimutuel. We've been relying on common law and Interstate Horse Racing Act to define parimutuel. So the court called upon us to define it. And I liken it to the ruling from Jockey Club 90 years ago. When you went to the horse track, you could make one bet, and that was to win. Now you can bet to win, place, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta, daily doubles, pick 3, pick 4, pick 5, pick 6. Parimutuel wagering has evolved, and the Supreme Court is asking us to give them a definition of parimutuel that reflects that evolution. So that's why we're here today. Obviously, there's a lot at stake. We all heard the numbers. It's a $5 billion a year industry. We know that it is a signature industry. If you go outside of the country and you tell someone you're from Kentucky, usually the first thing that comes out of their mouth is Kentucky Derby. It's what we're known for. We export these horses from Kentucky all over the world. We have people who come from all over the country and all over the world to work in our industry. If you go to a lot of these horse farms, you find a lot of Irish folks. You find people from all over the country who just want to be where it's at. And where it's at is Kentucky. Now, we got a little look into the tax rate issue, and there's a lot of issues with this, and I'm sure we'll have some discussion. But I think it's fair to say that we hear you. The industry hears you. Those of you who have that concern. The speaker hears you. Gentleman from Bourbon, when we get some proper language. Probably on Tuesday is going to file a resolution on creating a task force, because I don't even fully understand how all these taxes are broken out and where they all go, and I've been looking so I can be better prepared. It's confusing, and we need to do it right rather than do it fast. But some other things that are at stake that come from this: the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund. And I think and I'm going to yield to the gentleman from Bourbon here a little bit, and we'll talk about the purses. But a lot of those purse increases aren't just for anyone. For a lot of those races, it might be an $80,000 race, but half of that maybe is you're only eligible for it if you're a Kentucky bred. That raises the value of these Kentucky bred horses. That's why people are flocking here. Same with standard bred, same with quarter horses. Lady from Jefferson 44, there's an equine industry program at the University of Louisville. They do a tremendous job. They are educating the next generation of horse racing employees. You hear their advertisements. They don't just put people in administration positions. You start, even if you want to be a track president or a track announcer, you start learning how to muck a stall and work your way up. That is at stake. The Kentucky Equine Drug Research Council is funded through this. Higher Education Equine Trust Revolving Fund, plus just the money that goes directly. It's easy to point to the direct jobs and the direct money, but there's so many other jobs that come from this. But if you don't have anything left to tax, you lose it all. And some of it will be immediate, and the rest will come slowly. But we will see it reflected in our budgets. We will see it reflected on the farms when there's fewer and fewer people looking to buy hay and straw and oats and the other things that are grown on farms that the city boy really doesn't know about. And I hear when there's less demand, prices go down. I ran for the legislature to create jobs. And I ran for the legislature to create an environment where government's not telling me and us what to do unless absolutely necessary. That's why I support these measures year after year. And much like the gentleman from Bourbon just said, ask yourself, do we have enough signature industries in Kentucky that we can lose this one? Do we have enough $5 billion industries in Kentucky to lose this one? Or decimate it, actually? It'll still be here. It'll be a shell of itself. Do we have so many jobs that we can kill off tens of thousands of them? Do we have enough money in our unemployment fund to pay them? I would argue no. That's why I'm going to ask you to support this measure. And Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of Senate Bill 120.